Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll give everybody a few seconds to get in and get settled. Thank you, Travis, for joining us today. Unfortunately, Dr. Pipkin and Dr. Henley were unable to join us today. Dr. Pipkin is facilitating a horse show today, and Dr. Henley is welcoming the birth of his first child today. So they both have pretty good excuses for not being here. So we will go ahead and get started. So Travis, a popular question that we had was, what are some career options for students who have gone through judging programs and have found their passion for evaluation?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, it's really a very, very long list. I'll speak from the meat side. We have students that go on from judging careers. They pursue a whole wide breadth of jobs. When we think about the meat industry, it's not just about packing plants. We have all these allied industries that are a part of it too. So we have students that do go on to work with USDA in the grading service. We have a multitude of students who work for the major packing companies. Many of those students go into research and development. So when you see a new product on the shelf, many times there's someone that went through a judging program that was responsible for coming up with that variety of bratwurst or sausage. We have plenty of students that go on to work in many of those allied industries, whether those are equipment companies or packaging companies. It's really a long, long list from the meat industry. And I know the same is true with livestock and horse.
Definitely. So speaking as someone who runs a collegiate judging program, and maybe something that can be applied as well as to high school programs, what suggestions do you have for building a successful program, particularly when that program has struggled in the past?
Oh, that's a good question. I probably the best way to say that is that every location is unique. Here at Kansas State, it's different than every other university I've been with in the past. But I think it really starts with good, excited coaches and leadership at the top. But certainly great students, getting the right students with the right mindset, getting them motivated and excited, having them be able to be put in a place where they can be successful. That has a tendency to gain inertia. So once you have some students that are able to go and see that their hard work gets paid off with contest results, then it very quickly, the next student that you have, it's easier to get them to buy in, to want to be a part of being able to have success. And then ultimately you end up building a program to where it's really a self-fulfilling prophecy on the new kids know what's expected and they do better than the old kids ever did. And so getting those initial kids excited about it and then having them set up to be successful is really the key.
Great. So speaking specifically about the AMSA meat evaluation skills certification, talk a little bit about the skills that are assessed in that certification and why those skills are important in the career out in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think within that certification, one of the key things that we're trying to do is develop critical thinking skills. I know as a college professor, that's one of the things that I struggle with the most in students in classes, their ability to take information and apply it to a new situation often is a struggle. And so one of the key things with that certification that it's doing is it's testing students with that, as they have to be able to evaluate a lot of different parts and factors and be able to weigh them all together to come up with decisions and then ultimately turn around and defend those decisions. So that's the type of information that we really want to assess. Obviously, a critical understanding of all the basics when you talk about grades of beef carcasses, as well as knowing some of the other cuts and things like that. Those are important. But the main critical part of all these evaluation certifications is we really want to assess and be able to challenge those students to be able to assess their critical thinking skills, which will really help separate them in any career or any classroom that they go on to.
Great, thank you. So could you speak to a little bit about the retail cut, fabrication, and identification section of this certification? That's the largest, one of the largest sections that is assessed in the AMSA meat evaluation certification.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the thing that more people actually have hands-on experience with, the things that they are able to take out of this certification and then apply in their daily life is an understanding of all the retail cuts that actually come from all these carcasses. I know that when you go to a retail case in any typical store, I can go down here to our Kroger's affiliate in town, or I can go to Walmart, and you talk about the square footage that those departments devote towards meat cases and the different options that are in there. I know a lot of consumers go to those and feel really, really overwhelmed, not knowing exactly what all these cuts are. Well, by this certification, it really spends a lot of time focusing on helping people identify what the types of cuts are, where they come from, why a T-bone is more tender than a cut from the round, for instance, and how those should be prepared. So it gives the students who participate in this their ability to go out, have confidence throughout the rest of their lives, to go to the meat case, purchase cuts, and not just understand what they are and where they come from, but also how to prepare them. And so they have the ability to get maybe some less utilized cuts to be able to have successful eating experiences with their families.
Definitely. And as a follow-up to that, can you speak to the USDA grading skills that are assessed in the certification as well?
So within the certification, we do assess the student's ability to know and understand all the different grades of beef. We feel that's a very critical skill. The entire beef industry is rated around being able to assign values along with those grades. It doesn't matter if there's careers and opportunities within the live sector. Many of those cattle get sold on grids in which the producer's rewarded for carcasses that grade choice and prime and the upper two-thirds of choice. Whereas in a meat plant, the same thing holds true. If we go to a pricing grid today, everything's based on quality grade. So understanding the factors, whether we're talking about animal maturity, whether marbling, color, all the factors that actually go into helping determine the overall grade for that carcass actually is where all the value of beef gets determined in the United States. And so that goes a long way in being able to challenge these students to understand those concepts so they go forward and can definitely demonstrate some mastery of those skills.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Travis. We are closing up here. As I said in the beginning, Dr. Pipkin and Dr. Henley were unable to join us today. So Travis is speaking specifically from the meat industry side. We will provide answers to some of these questions that we did not have time to get to later. If you want to revisit the workshop description for this session, which is where you found the link for the Q&A, we will be updating some information in there, links to these certifications that were discussed, as well as some contact information for those of us on the ICEV team if you would like to get more information about these certifications or any other ones that are hosted on the ICEV platform. Dusty will be including the code for this session in the chat. This code is what will be used to earn points for attending this session, as well as noting your attendance. So be sure to enter this code into the CTE challenges section so we can note your attendance as well as give you some points. Thank you, Dr. O'Quinn, for joining us today, and thank you everyone for tuning in.